everybody to another episode of the 1111 Club. Today we're talking about expansion. I thought the waterfront might be a nice place to do this. It's a little windy, so I'll do my best. I'm kind of hiding behind a building right now. So I use the word expansion often in my practice and my own life. In fact, I think it was the word of the year for me, which makes a lot of sense because it conveys stepping into boldness, newness, and a phase of life that just feels bigger, more. And we often think of expansion as though you're stepping into ease, but the truth is it's rarely like that. It's often uncomfortable. It feels like being triggered, old patterns resurfacing, and moments of resistance. So I want to talk about why that's not only normal, but actually a sign of growth. I used to think that real transformation had to come with big fireworks, dramatic results, and people clamoring to work with me, and instant change. But here's the thing. Real change is often quieter, subtler, and a little more persistent than that. It doesn't always happen in the big, showy moments. Sometimes the seeds that you plant don't sprout until later, and that's kind of how it should be. Sometimes change isn't as immediate as we want it to be. I ran a workshop recently, and honestly, I didn't get the big dramatic results I had hoped for. People weren't rushing up to me afterwards and booking in sessions or saying that my words had transformed their lives. But what I did realize later was that I had planted some pretty big seeds, and the ripple effect is real. Those small, quiet shifts we make now may ripple out in ways that we can't see yet and we aren't really privy to. A client I was working with was really struggling with feeling stuck in her business, and she wanted more clarity, but kept finding herself repeating old patterns of hesitation, doubt, and even self-sabotage. When we worked together, it wasn't really about giving her like a magic solution. It was about helping her recognize the fears keeping her in the same place. She had to sit in the discomfort, acknowledge the pattern, and choose differently. And months later, she messaged me saying, I didn't even realize at the time how much was shifting. But now looking back, I see that that was the moment I truly started to trust myself. And that's the power of expansion. It often happens in quiet, in the decisions to show up differently. And I see this in leadership. I work with a lot of moms. Moms, you are in a position of leadership, whether you like it or not. And CEOs of companies. Everyone here probably seeing this is a leader in some regard. In your company, as a parent, in your community, your voices and energy and words matter. So leading with integrity is also not about creating immediate results. It's about showing up authentically, planting those seeds of awareness, and trusting that the impact will grow. True leadership is in those quiet moments, choosing presence over reaction, integrity over force, and stillness over impatience. Lord knows I need that. We often think of triggers. So when I mentioned earlier that expansion can feel triggering. And we often think of triggers as something that we want to avoid at all costs. But what if they were kind of a doorway to expansion? Woo, it's windy. We've been taught that getting angry, frustrated, overwhelmed is something to kind of suppress and get rid of. But what if we could sit with those feelings for just a moment? Not to act on them or let them control us, but to let them move through us. So when we get triggered, we have a choice. We can react from old patterns, or we can allow the discomfort and then make a new choice despite it. Expansion is uncomfortable. If it feels easy and effortless, you might not be growing. Real expansion happens when we choose in that moment to not shrink, when we move through the discomfort instead of avoiding it. And it's not glamorous. It's raw and real and sometimes downright messy. But that's where transformation happens. Not in running away from the feelings, but in choosing to feel them, process them, and then act differently next time. I've worked with clients for years, but only began focusing on helping them step into truth, expanding into their highest calling and vibrational match for the life that they want, probably within the last 2 years or so. And as I step more fully into my own life that feels right for me, one with no restrictions, unless I place them on myself, the more expansive I actually feel, and the further then I can guide others into their own expansion. Now, do they need me to do this work? No, not at all. But because I've been through those deeper triggers, the self-sabotage, the patterns of unworthiness, I know when they're at play, and I can help them see them for what they are, just patterns. They're not you. They're not your truth. Expansion doesn't just happen by accident. It's a choice to do it differently, to love yourself, wounds and all, a little bit more, and to allow Source to guide you daily. Now, I want to take you through a somatic technique for expansion, so get comfortable. Let's take a moment to connect to our bodies and move through some of the discomfort we've been talking about. This somatic practice is meant to help you sit with whatever emotions or sensations are coming up when you feel triggered or uncomfortable. It's not about getting rid of them. It's about making space for them and choosing to stay present. If you're in a safe space, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Think of a time in this last week where you felt triggered. Maybe you had a client cancel, or you felt disappointed. Maybe you felt unheard or unseen. Focus on the feeling in your body. Maybe you feel tension in your shoulders, your chest, or your stomach. Wherever it is, gently place your hands there without judgment. Just notice it. No need to change it, fix it, or get rid of it. Just acknowledge. As you breathe, imagine that this feeling is energy that needs to just move through you. With each breath, you give it permission to release when it's ready. There's no rush. You're not forcing it. You're simply allowing it to be. Feel into this discomfort for a moment, knowing that it's part of your growth. It's a signal that you are expanding. It's not easy, but it's necessary. Thank the discomfort for being here and speaking to you today. Thank your body for holding so much wisdom and bringing it to the surface at the exact right time. Expansion is inevitable when you're doing the deeper work. After that recent workshop that I did when I was feeling a little ho-hum about it, I sat with that feeling to see what Source wanted me to know. And this is what came through. I think it might be for you too. We're reminding you that every experience, whether it feels extraordinary or just good, is part of your unfolding mastery. You stepped into the unknown with an open heart, creating a space for transformation, even if you couldn't see its full impact in the moment. Just because it didn't feel earth-shattering doesn't mean it wasn't deeply felt by those who attended. The ho-hum feeling comes when the ego wants validation that something was worth it. But your soul knows that that impact isn't measured in immediate fireworks. It's in the subtle shifts, the moments of awareness that ripple through their lives long after today. So breathe, trust, release any pressure to make each experience a grand slam. Your work is working. Real change doesn't always happen in big, visible bursts. It happens quietly in those small, consistent choices to show up, to sit with discomfort, to make a new response instead of falling back into old patterns. The seeds you plant today may not sprout immediately, but trust that the ripple effect is real. So, as you move through your day, remember, it's not the big results that matter most. It's your commitment to stay present, to lead with integrity, to expand even when it's uncomfortable. You're growing, you're shifting. And even in the moments when it feels like nothing is changing, trust that you're creating ripples of transformation that you can't yet see. There's a guy there.